God of War Ragnarok developer is looking at The Last of Us Part 2 for inspiration. Atreus may be fully playable. Oh shit. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. This is not what we want to hear. We want to hear it's going to be big, badder, more violent, with more boobies in it than the previous game. Now, if you know anything about the twist at the end of God of War, spoiler warning, Atreus isn't Atreus. Atreus is Loki. Yeah. It would make sense if you got to play Loki, but if God of War is going down the route that I think it's going down, the God of War will turn into the God of Death towards the end when he gets his scythe. If it goes down that route, he's got to kill off the Norse pantheon of gods at the moment. So it's going to be interesting. But just like the 2018 God of War game has been inspired by the last, God of War was inspired by The Last of Us, and you can see the latest God of War was kind of Last of Us, if you saw that. And God of War Ragnarok may be inspired by Naughty Dog's latest game. Speaking during the latest episode of the God of War podcast, Sony Santa Monica's conceptual artist Samuel Matthews commented on the upcoming entry in the series, revealing that the developer is looking at The Last of Us Part 2. Why? For more inspiration. He also commented on the possibility of Atreus becoming a fully playable character, suggesting that the developer may consider having multiple playable characters that you switch between them on the story demands, like Naughty Dog's latest game. Dry mouth.
That could be Atreus and Kratos getting separated somewhere and trying to find their way back to each other, or something like. And so you play as one, you play as the other, and you move through the story separate, and then you meet up, and then you can maybe flip between the two. That's probably the only thing I would choose to take from The Last of Us 2, because that's what they did, isn't it? They played as the woman, the woman man.
They did it in Grand Theft Auto 5 and did a really good job in Grand Theft Auto 5, where you switch between the characters.
Okay.
So I don't. Switching between the characters isn't necessarily something that The Last of Us 2 is known for. What The Last of Us 2 is known for is a deeply miserable storyline with a protagonist that nobody liked and another protagonist that nobody liked. You ruined all the characters. You killed off Joel, who everyone was really into. You didn't do it the right way. It was very shit pandering to certain political groups. I don't want that part of it. I get what you're saying about the swapping part, yeah, and you get to play as Atreus for certain bits, and that would be all right because he's got some. He's an archer, so you can do kind of archery things with him.
He's got some nifty moves.
So sneak and range would be his thing, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're having it so you swapping between Atreus and Kratos, even if it's like during battle, yeah. So like you sneak in there, Atreus like marks all the targets. Kratos comes in and beats the crap out of them. But the long and the short of it is, God of War is known for violence, boobies. I loved like the God of War 3, yeah. God of War 3, I really enjoyed. One bit I really enjoyed when you beat Poseidon. You kick the shit out of Poseidon in such a terrible way. It's fantastic, yeah. You're fighting him, and if you know anything about God of Poseidon, he's the god of the sea and god of horses. So there's lots of watery horses that you fight, yeah. So you beat the crap out of him until he turns into like his more human form, and then you bowl up to him, and it goes to Poseidon's view, and you're beating the crap out of Poseidon from that view. So you're hammering the shit out, and then you gouge his fucking eyes out. That's what we want. Yeah, when you beat Balder, at the end of it, and I knew when I heard the name Balder, I knew that the little thing on Atreus' chest, the little arrowhead thing that he had, was made of mistletoe, was the one thing that could stop Balder because it was in Norse mythology. And that was great because I knew that stuff was coming. And the fact that when you get in that fight, when the very beginning, where you think, oh, who's this arsehole? So you beat him and you're actually hammering the crap out of him. And then he turns around and goes, my turn. And then he just knocks fucking Kratos miles. And you're like, dude, this is an entrance for a bad guy, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Right at the beginning as well.
Oh, and then
it makes it so sad. It was a great entry to the game.
Oh, yeah. And then I think the next best bit was when you get the Chaos Blades, when you have to go to the cold place, something Niflheim, I'm going to call it. And he's got the Chaos Blades because the Chaos Blades are fiery and deadly, yeah? So he's just like swinging them around and just setting things on fire. And you get those blades back from the original and you're like, oh, this is awesome. I don't want to have a miserable story. Yeah, it wasn't the happiest of stories, I have to admit. The God of War, the recent one.
No,
But you can
it,
do it as you can make it better, and I'm
I
hoping that they
liked.
will.
Yeah, I agree. It wasn't the most uplifting of stories, but on the flip side, it was a story about Kratos and his son actually learning to live with each other, learning to live without the wife, who we never saw,
Yeah,
and also their bonding over time, and him learning who he is. And you got to a point in the story where his son is just going a bit off the rails and going, "We're gods. I don't care. I'll just do whatever we want."
yeah,
And then that gets tailed back because shit happens, and he figures out, "Oh, I can't do just what I want. That's a bad idea," and he comes back to normality, as it were, for him anyway.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I like that story.
It was a really good story in regards to that. The other thing is that I think that the Thor and Zeus have killed off the giants in the giant realm, who's Loki's supposed to be related to, because you get that last bit and you see the mural on the wall. And if you know, as I said, back to Norse mythology, you know that not Zeus, bloody Odin gets annoyed with Loki and he traps him in a cave and he pins him down and he has a snake constantly spray venom into his face for like all eternity until one day he breaks free. And when he breaks free, Ragnarok happens and he gets his kids back, which is Hela and Fenrir. And they will kill them, and the world serpent will kill Thor, and so forth and so on. So I think they're building up towards that. If they're playing it right, Kratos will become the god of death, because the next ones he'll go after are hopefully with the Egyptian gods, and then he'll get a scythe, and then he becomes death. Yeah, he'll get a scythe and a cloak. That was always the plan for it. I think it's going to be good. But I am worried that they're taking their cues from it. I want them taking the cues from gameplay, not necessarily game level design, but gameplay from The Last of Us, because people did say the gameplay was quite good, even though the story was miserable, and everyone kind of played it for the story. Anyway,
Yeah.
Keith, you've been awfully quiet.
I've never played Gods of War, so I can't. All I can say is, though, I hope that they're looking at The Last of Us Part 2 not for sort of story cues and more sort of technical cues, because if they're looking at it, the story, then your game is dead before it even comes out.
That's the worry. So it's one of those ones I'm going to have to wait a week.
Now, Last of Us 2 had the stealthy thing down. You had the mechanics where you can hide up against boxes or walls and stuff like that and sneakily take people out. Now, if they are going to do a bit of Atreus on his own, doing that sort of stealthy thing, I think, take the mechanics take cues from the mechanics from The Last of Us 2 and implementing it for Atreus. Whereas Kratos is much more my style, bowling in, arms swinging, bit of windmilling, hit everything you can. Yeah. That's my style. I am no good at stealthy stuff. I've told you for years, going stealth, and I can't. I can't do stealth.
I don't fit my gun with a silencer. I fit it with a loud knock.
I just add a car exhaust on it and hope for the best. But yeah, that's really my take on it. Let's see what cues they take from it. They might say, eventually, we've taken inspiration from the stealth side of the game, because we're implementing that with Atreus, because he is going to be a playable character for a bit of a game, and we wanted to make sure he's a stealthy type of player, so we're going to use that in the game to make sure it flows nice and plays nice, and the mechanics is great, like you're used to.
Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.